My name is Rahul Daswani. I am the head of people and culture at Open Government Products. We are an experimental unit at GovTech, the government technology agency of Singapore. At Open Government Products, what we're trying to do is reimagine what government can look like if we worked like a modern tech company, but on public sector problems. So that means everything from reimagining how we do technology, how we use the cloud, how we use SaaS solutions, how we do people management and performance management. So really freedom to imagine what the way in which we can get the best out of our people. So my expectations from the product were, number one, certainly that I would be able to get an overview of what is happening at any time. So some kind of dashboard that allowed me to see progress, because that's something that I don't have with Google Sheets, right? It's very manual. I have to go and manually see who has submitted and then figure out who hasn't submitted. So that's a big pain point, right? So my expectations were that my pain points would be addressed, my major pain point. So that was one big pain point. The second big pain point was, well, I had to manually convert then what all the reviews were into stuff for the manager. So I had to compile all the peer feedback. I had to compile the charts, which at least I wrote a script for. So that's not so bad, but still it's a pain. I've got to copy the script to from Excel to a PowerPoint and then make PowerPoint slides for each person, which is a huge pain. So I expected that pain point to be resolved and for the software to be able to just pull the relevant information that makes sense and compile that into a report. So those were my two biggest pain points. So in terms of meeting my expectation of having a dashboard to see things, overall that was pretty good. So the visual was pretty good. I was able to see, hey, for each individual, both who are the people who are reviewing them, and so then I could actually on the dashboard itself add people, which is great, and I could also see who are the people that they are reviewing and the number of people. And so that was cool because I could use that on the dashboard itself. I could make sure people aren't overloaded with too many reviews. The first pain point that was largely resolved. The second one around, can the software compile reports so that I don't have to do it on PowerPoint, right? So on that front, largely speaking, again, first run, right? Yes, largely speaking, it did the job. So it was able to compile the chart, it compiled the manager's feedback, compile the peer feedback in a way that I was happy with. The third one is, in terms of my pain point, is doing the reviewee and the reviewer. So I was able to add the reviewers, which is great. It's just that there's an additional step of I have to also, the manager has a final call. So actually I have to then either tell the manager, hey, I've added these people, can you add them? Or I have to, as a super user, go into the manager's account and add that, which is an extra step. And so now we've also worked with the team to basically say, actually as HR, you can just add, and once you add, the peer review gets sent out directly. And so that's been resolved after the first cycle. Overall, it was quite smooth. People were quite happy with it rolling out. It was much more professional. It's some of the feedback that we got from our team. Working with a team actually is one of the main reasons that I signed on with Profit, because the amount of effort that they put in, number one, and number two, the responsiveness, I was really very happy with. So people will respond very, very quickly. If I said bugs were urgent, I could see the urgency be reflected. I could get regular status updates, even multiple times in the same day. So working with people helped me understand what was going on and guide me through how to do a product demo as well. Clear steps for users to take so that they could log on easily, so that they could access the different modules easily. So I was actually very happy with the care that was given to me by the team, and that made me have more confidence in rolling something out. We've been working from home for over a year now, since February last year. In 2020 is when we started working from home. So because we're in tech, we would expect that everybody is able to quickly grasp, even whether it's a new platform or a new way of doing things. And so people responded fairly well to it. No major issues to rolling it out, even though everybody's still primarily working from home. Yeah, so I think there's 3 steps, right, that you need to have. I think the first most important step is diagnosis. I mean, no point rolling out something if nothing is wrong. If people feel like things are fine, I think you need to question whether this is really a big priority for you. Figure out, is there something wrong? And the dimensions that I laid out, I think at least are the ones that make sense for me. They probably make sense for other organizations, but they also need maybe other considerations, right? So, is it fair? What's my overall experience? How's the quality of feedback? How's the quantity of feedback? Do I understand the rationale for this? How's the communication during the exercise? Something I want to understand whether it's good or not, because that's a key part of actually any exercise doing well is communication. So that's something I also track. So the first part is diagnosis. See how people feel, and if you do that well, then you can actually think about the interventions in a very specific way. You don't have to revamp and reinvent the whole thing. If maybe the only issue is people feel like it's fair and the quality of feedback is good, for example, but they think that the communication could be better, then actually your focus is quite clearly on the communication, right? You don't have to reinvent the model. If people feel like it's fair, but they don't understand the rationale, then you got to think about, hey, in what ways are my managers explaining the rationale to people because they don't quite get it? And if you have room to grow in all of the dimensions, as we did, then I think it's worth doing a full-fledged review of the entire process. So that's the first thing. The second thing is clarity. What do you want from your people, from the roles, right? You need to be clear. If your organization is to succeed, what does that mean for the kinds of people and the kind of skills that you have? So I would recommend certainly a clear document of like, hey, if you're the best of this role, what does that mean, right? If you level up to even if you use simple language like associate, core, and senior, right? What does it mean to be associate, right? So you can use the intuitive language of an associate is somebody I hire who has, good skills, but little experience, needs a lot of guidance. Somebody who's a core is quite independent. I can put them on the product and they can run with it. And somebody who's senior can guide the team, can guide some of the technical decision making around what should be done, right? And so you have this, and you combine that broad description with specific competencies that can be demonstrated and can be seen. Right? Because then it provides very, very clear direction for people to learn and grow. To say, okay, you've done this much. For the next level, you've already done this and this, but these are the competencies that I haven't seen you demonstrate yet. So let's focus on these. How can you build these? How can you show these? Right? So if you have a very clear description of here are the things that you need to be a successful engineer, product manager, data scientist at my organization, then it provides that clarity for people to strive towards and to get themselves better. And then that's better for your organization, right? So that's the second thing. Have a lot of clarity and take the time to write it down there. And the third thing that I would recommend is find a way to get more data. I highly recommend both quantitative and qualitative data. And the affinity-based way is a very risk-free way to do it, because the quantitative information that you get does not have to weigh super strongly into somebody's actual appraisal. And at the same time, you're able to get more truthful information. And that's one of the principles, right? We want to get as much information that's useful as possible. So find ways to do that. For many organizations, in order to create a risk-free way of doing it, they do only qualitative but not quantitative. I think there are limitations to doing it that way. So that's why I propose the affinity-based model. So whatever the case is, if you have more data, your managers are able to make better decisions. So that's the third principle that I would think about your performance appraisal model, is make sure you collect as much data as possible so your managers can make really good informed decisions.